The Chiefs need to hit a home run in this year's draft. There's also some news in the NFL right now. We're going to talk about all that. Let's do it. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. How we all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Come on in here. Let's have a good time today. Do us a favor, hit that like button, all that fun stuff. And while everybody's getting in here, I want to shout out DraftKings for sponsoring today's live stream.
The next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. All Chiefed Up has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and just because the regular season has ended doesn't mean the excitement has to. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. New customers can even turn $5 into $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. So sign up using our promo code ACU, and again, new customers who bet $5 can turn that into $300 if your bet wins, paid out in bonus bets. With DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Do it to it, Chiefs Kingdom. Download DraftKings. Use that promo code ACU. Mike, it's a beautiful Monday morning, January the 12th. It looks like some things happened in the NFL yesterday. We'll start out with those games, baby. The playoffs are happening. And like we talked about last night, it's just not right without the Chiefs there. It's boring. It's dumb even, you know?
Well, I mean, the Chiefs don't usually play in the opening weekend, so it was no different
True.
than what it ever was.
True. Go from being that 1 seed to nothing. That 0 seed, baby. Wild card weekend. Let's see. We had the Patriots smother out the Chargers last night in an abysmal game, 16-3. It was a real barn burner, ladies and gentlemen. Drake May threw a touchdown at the end of the game to Hunter Henry in the fourth, and I think that kind of sealed the deal. And then the Bears. Caleb Williams led that comeback by the Bears, erasing an 18-point deficit to the Packers. That was actually a decent game to watch. I watched some of that one. We talked about that a little bit last night, Mike. You think Caleb Williams might actually be pretty daggone good. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Caleb Williams is a bad quarterback like everybody was trying to say. He's decent. I mean, he's got his good times. He's got his bad times. I think he just needed to be paired up with a good offensive coordinator. Surprise, surprise. That's an actual thing you need to succeed. But yeah, I thought that was a decent game. The Bears, I guess, are decently for real.
We'll see how they went crazy. He had like 140 yards receiving.
Right. Well, we'll see what they do next week.
Yeah, they have to play the Rams. So
the Patriots, I think they took care of business. There was no surprises for me this weekend. If there had to be a big surprise, I would have thought maybe the Eagles would have beat the 49ers at home.
Nah.
But I knew it would be close either way. So that was a pretty good win by the 49ers. I would like to see the 49ers or the Rams on that side. The other side, I'm just anybody but the Broncos. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, San Francisco beat the Eagles 23-19 on the road to Philly. That was the highlight point of our weekend, I suppose. The Bills knocked off the Jaguars, man. I kind of thought the Jags would win this game. Mike, you were kind of rooting for the Jaguars to get in there and do this thing this year. Like, I'm kind of right there with you. They're like the one team that doesn't bother me that much. And then, of course, Liam Cohen, in his first season with them, has done such a good job. But they lost the game 27-24 off of a last-minute drive that had a lot of tush pushing.
Yeah, it's so boring. That tush push has to go.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, again, he just kind of played lucky. I mean, he done a good job of doing what the defense give him. I think the Jags scored with too much time on the clock there at the end, give him almost 4 minutes or maybe more than 4 minutes. But he just kind of throws one up there at the end of the game. It comes right down in the exact spot it needed to. You know, it's just Buffalo is like pretty lucky. That's all there is to it. They're super lucky. I was rooting for the Jags. I thought the Jags were a good team. I think they're going to be good in the future as well. I think Cohen's got them going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative is this has to be it for Josh Allen. Like, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, then he just stinks. You know, he's never going to do it. And the thing about it is, I feel like all luck is in their favor. Like, if you watched that game of the Jaguars yesterday, there were just so many little gifts from the referees in the NFL. You know, like the NFL really wants the Bills to get it done this year.
Doesn't the Broncos now play the Bills?
Correct. Yes. They'll be
So
playing obviously at Mile High.
I
So.
don't know who I want to win that game. Like, I don't want the Broncos to win, but I'd almost like to see the Broncos knock out the Bills, just because the AFC West is the superior division. I'd like to see them like uphold that and then go ahead and get beat.
Broncos fans were actually happy that the Bills won because they thought that they have a better chance of beating them than Jacksonville. That was a narrative that I read.
That's a little wild because you know the NFL is going to be throwing the full weight and force behind Josh Allen to make it to the Super Bowl. So
Right.
begging for that one, you know, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. And then there were some significant injuries yesterday, Mike. You talked about George Kittle last night, suffered the torn Achilles. So that's a big blow to San Francisco in a year. I thought they've been playing really good football. I thought maybe they might make a run at it. And then you had the Rams. Matt Stafford sprained his index finger on his throwing hand, so that made it a little bit difficult.
Which one's that? This one?
What are you talking about?
Your index. Is that the index? Is that the index?
Yeah,
It's got to be.
Wow. What? Yeah, of
And
course
then
it
this
is.
the ring. No, wait, that's the middle, and then the ring, and then the pink. Okay, index makes sense.
Mike, did you really just have?
I don't look.
You had to
I
talk
don't-
yourself through the index.
I just don't go
finger.
around being like, let me throw up my index finger.
Anyway, they said he should be cleared and fine by the time that game comes up against the Bears. The Bills suffered an injury in their wide receiver core. Gabe Davis has to have an MRI today on his knee. So they think it's unlikely for him to return for the postseason, regardless of what's going on with him. Other than that, Mike, just the news of the NFL. Obviously, there's a game tonight, the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Has there always been Monday night games during the playoffs, or is this a new thing?
I feel like they started doing it recently, but it didn't used to be.
I didn't think so.
Well, who do you think's going to win that one?
Probably the Texans.
I think the Texans are a better football team than the Steelers. You know,
Yeah.
if the Steelers don't win this game, though, I think their coach gets fired. I think this will be his last
Tomlin
game.
goes. Well, my thing is I just don't know if Pittsburgh's offense can do enough against that tough Houston defense, to be honest. Now I do know if there were to be some kind of an injury to CJ Stroud or something comes up, it's going to get really hairy for the Houston Texans, though, because Davis Mills isn't even traveling with the team due to personal reasons.
That's kind of wild because he was not a bad quarterback when he filled in this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if everything, I would assume the Texans would win this one, but I don't know. You know, the Steelers, they're kind of odd this year where I thought they weren't really that good. They were winning more. Like, they're kind of one of those teams halfway through the season where I thought their record kind of reflected that they were a lot
felt like
better than
huge
they were.
pretenders.
Yeah. And, you know, but I have seen them play some tough games too. So, I don't really know, but I would probably assume the Texans. Anyway, that pretty much wraps that all up. How y'all doing today? Hit that like button, get in the comments. Let us know how you're doing. It's weird talking about all this playoff football, not talking about the Chiefs. So, of course, we're a Chiefs channel, baby. So we're going to talk about the Chiefs. We're already in draft mode, baby. Everybody's in draft mode. We've been seeing it in the comments. Me and you started diving into the draft a little bit, and we figured we'd just talk about some draft today. Let me get to the chat real quick, though. We got Tiger Atlas in the house with the 2. Says for that ass. Let's go. Appreciate the support, brother. But yeah, man, let's talk about the draft a little bit. The Chiefs need to hit a home run in this one. And the reason why they need to hit a home run in this one, Mike, is because this is a very, just pivotal year for this Chiefs dynasty right now. You're in the middle of a dynasty and all of a sudden you just kerplunk all the way to the bottom.
Right.
Like you don't even make the playoffs. So now it's like the fork in the road where it's like, this offense is trash. We have to retool and reboot the whole thing. And, a lot of different guys are coming up on free agency that we're not going to be able to get all of them back. Travis Kelce's talking about retiring potentially. Just a whole lot going on here. And the Chiefs have a whole lot of holes to fill. And I think the only way they can do this, Mike, and to be competitive the way the Chiefs have been for the last 8 or 9 years, or longer, actually, a lot of things have to fall into place. It starts with free agency and who they can get and how they can plug in everything, but they have to hit in the draft too.
Yeah, the draft's big. But I think people are overlooking free agency a little bit too quick. Like, I get it. The draft's fun. It's fun to talk about all those guys, but honestly, I think free agency is important. We've talked about this over the past few weeks. You've been insisting that no matter how good we draft, it doesn't matter. The Chiefs got to start hitting people in free agency. They have to start going out and getting targeted players, paying a little bit more money because the nature of the league's changed. Every position, because of salary cap is inflating every year. You're getting more money, revenue share. Everything's increasing, but it seems like the Chiefs they don't want to play ball like that. They don't want to do that. But a lot of it comes down to we do pay a lot of money. I mean, we pay a lot of money for players. Chris Jones this next year is going to be somewhere near $45 million. 15% of our cap money in 2026 is going to Chris Jones. That's huge. That's huge. They've got to figure out something to do there. They've got to figure out how to free money, got to restructure something. But is Chris Jones going to be able to restructure? Does he want to do that? He held out to make this kind of money. Now that he's making his money, does he want to give that up? I don't know if he's so willing to do that. You may just have to bite it this year and take $45 million to Chris Jones. There's a lot of things that the Chiefs have to do.
That's the thing, though. Chris Jones doesn't really have his third leg to stand on right now because I don't think he produced enough this season to be able to warrant all that money. So I think he's got to play ball a little bit.
Well, Chris Jones was ranked one of the top 5 defensive tackles in football at his age across the board.
Okay, now he's one of the top 5 defensive tackles in football. Chris Jones was paid the best defensive tackle in football money.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to be number 1, clear cut.
I'm not
and we're talking about
arguing,
top 5.
But I'm saying that Chris Jones did produce. Now, his sack numbers come down. Sack numbers across the board for a lot of people were down this year. Offenses are changing.
Yeah, true.
They're getting rid of the ball quicker. They're not holding it as long.
Running the ball more this year.
Yeah, they're running the ball more. The offenses are changing. The NFL's changing. Chris Jones, for what he gives you, is one of the top 2 to 3 best defensive tackles in football. Now, again, you're going to argue, well, he's making top DT money. I don't know if he is making top DT money, is he? I don't know what the top defensive tackle is, but I don't know if it's Chris Jones. But he's up there. He's probably getting what he deserves. A lot of people want him to get more.
Somebody, if you just ask anyone, probably in the NFL or just a random fan, who the best defensive tackle in football is, ever since Aaron Donald retired, it's Chris Jones. Everybody's going to say Chris Jones.
I think he would be up there, yeah.
But I don't know if statistically if he produced like the number 1 guy.
Well, again, the Chiefs are one of the only teams, because even Aaron Donald didn't have to do this. The Chiefs are one of the only teams that will not invest in their defensive line. We don't spend money on free agent defensive players. We don't do it. Like, we would rather pay Charles Omenihu and Mike Dana, 10, 12, $15 million per year than going out and looking at other players. We just won't do it. They won't get a specific type of defensive end. They want a guy that sets the edge and creates some pressures here and there. They don't want a sack artist. They won't go get it. They won't pay for it.
We don't usually have the big names on the defensive line, right? Like, I feel like there's always a lot of the plug and play, like weird little patchwork defensive linemen we've had over the years.
It's
right?
Constant. It's
like
constant.
We have like Tonka Jahari out of San Diego State University, something random.
Hey, we
like
really went out and grabbed like Janarius Robinson last year, and everybody was like, pretty good signing there.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Exactly. That's the thing. Or there's always like some, UDFAs that we're really hoping comes through, like
right.
Fabian
It's always our defensive line
is
Chris Jones, George Karlaftis recently. But I think we all know George Karlaftis has limitations. And he just now extended to a big contract. He was also on a rookie contract for 4 years, and we never did anything to beef that up at all. They tried with Felix, but I mean, come on, that was a huge swing and a whiff, especially if you're going to change his body type.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are under the impression, well, if Chris Jones don't restructure, then just trade him. I think, like, I had to tell you guys, but I still think at this point, Chris Jones might be untradeable.
Like, I think he might be untradeable. I don't think nobody's going to take that contract.
Well, it's not even that. Oh, that's a big part of it. But another part of it is like Chris Jones is still the bulk of our defense. Like, you pull Chris Jones off there right now, and it would have been ugly this year.
Well, yeah, he is the defensive line. There is nobody else.
Exactly, dude.
His numbers have suffered, so George Karlaftis can be mediocre. That's what's happened here, basically, if you want to tell the truth.
Steve, I love Trey Hendrickson, but we can't pay Trey Hendrickson. It's impossible with
Not with that Chris Jones contract.
It just can't happen. Can
Plus,
you imagine?
he's a little older too. He's getting ready to fall off a cliff here in the next few years.
Yeah, he's 31, 32
And
years
it could
old, right?
be next year. You never know.
He's the same
Like,
age as Chris Jones, I think.
Right. When these pass rushers start hitting 31, 32, you're really starting to expect a huge decrease at any moment.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like you mentioned, so free agency is a huge factor in my opinion. I think we got to start hitting guys that are proven, that have done it, and actually can come in here and produce right away. There's no development. There's nothing like that. That's something that the Chiefs haven't done over the last few
a couple years ago when we were begging the team before he hit free agency or whatever, go out and try to get Daniil Hunter from the Vikings. Like, go out and pay this guy in free agency, and then he goes to the Texans and just eats. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we've begged for this stuff over and over. The Chiefs just will not be willing to spend that $20 million per year on a defensive, like an edge rusher.
What irritates me about it, and well, frankly, it just pisses me off, is they'll turn around and pay Christian Fulton $20 million for 2 years, or
well, I mean, that's well below, but
okay, I understand, but they'll give Juwan
yeah,
Taylor
if you
$80 million
out,
over 4 years and stuff like that, and it's like, what are we doing here? So we'll pay ridiculous money for someone that doesn't deserve it, but when there's people that are actually good, like high-profile guys, we act like we're the brokest people on the planet.
Oh yeah, it's always that.
You
and
know,
even the fans that want to push it, they've been conditioned to just be like, well, there's a salary cap. You can't pay it. Like, we've been so conditioned. We're like the kids that we go to Walmart with our parents and they won't let us buy nothing but the generic stuff. They're like, we don't have money for that. Meanwhile,
we got that at home.
Smoking 6 packs a day.
Mike, we got Daniil Hunter at home.
Yeah,
and it's
we've
freaking
always
Joshua
got something at
Kando
home,
or something.
and we've got nobody at home. You know what we got at home? Nothing.
What I would say to those people is that every team in the entire National Football League has to be under that salary cap. And why are we the only ones that have to have all the bargain bin guys? And we're still at the end, we're still literally almost over salary cap.
Yeah, and we've never paid Travis Kelce what he's worth. Patrick Mahomes has had one of the best team-friendly contracts in the history of football.
He restructures every year. So it's like, come on, dude. Like, a lot of people are under the impression that Patrick Mahomes getting paid. So Patrick Mahomes' contract's so ridiculous, that's why they can't do anything. It's like, that has nothing to do with it, honestly.
He's maybe the most team-friendly contract in the history of football.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I think they got to actually do something this year in free agency. Like, there's a lot of guys open. Mike, you talked about ETN yesterday and how he looked and how he would look.
I think it's the running back position this year that people want him to focus on.
Yeah,
it's
Breece
either that
Hall,
or it's Jeremiah
ETN.
Love, right? And so, which one would you rather do? Would you rather pay money? Like, do you think the offense in the draft, what you've seen so far, do you think the offensive players are the better picks, such as the Jeremiah Loves, the Jordan Tysons, the Carnell Tates? Do you think those guys are the better picks, or do you think the defenders at the top are some of the better ones? You know, your Peter Woods, your David Baileys, things like that, Caleb Downs, those kinds of guys. Because I think that would tell you, like, wherever you think you're leaning in the first round, you know, if you're really going to lead Jeremiah Love and you're just going to hold out all hope, you're not paying for a big, you know, free agent running back. So if you don't, it's almost like you're putting all your eggs in that basket, and if he gets drafted before you get to pick, you're screwed.
Yeah, well, they won't do that, right? But at the same time, like, I don't know, I haven't watched enough tape on these kids yet to pick a side as far as the draft goes. I don't know if the offensive guys are better than the defensive guys, anything like that. But I do know I have watched a lot of the defensive players so far. I haven't really dug into the offense. I think overall, just in general, I feel like I have. You know, this is just me and how I feel about it, but if I just look at the draft in general, I feel like defense normally wins. I feel like that's the guys that you hit in the draft are defensive players. Like, normally if you get an offensive player in the draft, it's like you have there's a high risk of bust potential. Like Sky Moore in the second round or like something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's a lot less chance of, you know, getting that bust in the draft. Now, saying that, look at Felix. You know, at the end of the first, but I feel like that was kind of our own making.
If you don't get an edge rusher early, they tend to be more bust picks. I'll say the
just like the
seems to feel
players,
like bust more because I think they're just an overabundance of offensive players. Like, it's always wide receivers going like, you know, 6, 7, 8 of them in the first round,
right?
3 or 4 quarterbacks in the first round.
Well,
so
you bringing up the defense and stuff, and I think the most important thing for the Chiefs in this draft, number one, 100%. Far above running back, in my opinion, is pass rush. I think we have to start getting some pressure on these quarterbacks. They got to make our life easier for our corners. I just feel like we've got to like. It was kind of sad how little pressure we put on quarterbacks this season.
Yeah.
With Chris Jones on our defensive line, I felt like we put probably less pressure than most teams in the NFL.
Especially as many offensive linemen as he eats on every play.
Exactly.
And it's can't create any pass rush there. It's wild.
It didn't matter who we played. I feel like their quarterback got to be completely comfy back there. Like he was wearing pajama pants and house shoes, just chilling, eating a bowl of Cheetos, watching Days of Our Lives or something, and then he would throw a pass randomly to a wide open receiver. And it's just like, we've got to get some pressure on these quarterbacks, brother. Have to. So
especially if you're going to let Chamari Connor cover people, you've got to get there quickly.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing?
He's beat after the first, it takes about a second and a half. He's beat.
Yeah. What are we doing? But let's talk about defensive ends for a minute. We'll talk about a few of those real quick. I want to get to the chat. Tiger Atlas with the 5 bomb says, do we believe Andy would use a premier running back? What good is Walter Payton if he only gets 9 carries a game? So this is like the biggest question here. And a lot of people are very passionate about this one way or the other. Like either, hey, why are we going to draft a running back high when Andy won't use them? Why are we going to go get a Breece Hall in free agency when Andy won't use them? Andy won't run the ball. But then you have the other side of the fence that's like, well, Andy will run the ball, but he needs a really good running back. He needs somebody that can actually, produce and not just be and no shade, but not just be an Isaiah Pacheco or, those lower tier guys where it's like they can play, they're good, but they're not going to change a game for you. I don't know, man. You look at the history, and Andy has used some running backs in his time. I mean, when he had LaShawn McCoy, he used LaShawn McCoy. When he had Jamal Charles, he used Jamal Charles. When Kareem Hunt was killing it in his rookie season, he used Kareem Hunt.
He used Clyde Edwards-Helaire when he drafted him early.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's an argument to be had there. So, do I think Andy would use a premier running back? I think if we had a Breece Hall on this team or they were to draft Jeremiah Love, I absolutely think that he would get some work. Would it be as much as we wanted? Probably not. I don't think Andy's ever going to run the ball as much as we want him to. But at the same time, I do feel like if you had a Breece Hall or Jeremiah Love, you're definitely getting that. You're getting close to that 20 carry mark every game. I don't think that's an argument a talking point we'd have to have every week is, hey, we got to get to 20 carries, because I feel like we probably would.
Well, Andy even said it himself. He calls a lot of RPO stuff. Mahomes tends to not want to hand the ball off. So maybe Mahomes isn't comfortable enough of being like, look, Pacheco just runs up the back
but we've
people.
Talked about that's something they've got to switch in the system.
Right. But I don't know if they will. So if they don't, I'm just saying Mahomes might be responsible for like, look, I'm just not handing the ball off here. This dude just runs up the back of people's
Well, I mean, that
asses.
just goes with, look,
so
dude,
maybe if there's a good running back, maybe Mahomes feels more comfortable handing it off in certain situations. So maybe it does go up higher.
that RPO.
I don't know why you're acting as that's a weird concept.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying, I think the RPO has run its course in the NFL. Like less and less teams are using it.
But what leads you to think Andy's going to change anything?
Dude, I don't know, but that's the whole talking point of the entire offseason. We got to change some stuff on the offensive scheme. So to sit here and talk. So if we just sit and talk about it being exactly like it was last year, does it matter who we talk about? Because it's just going to be the same shit.
Because I'm telling you, if we do stick around with the RPO, I think a better running back does help that, because I think Mahomes feels more comfortable handing the ball off in situations.
I don't think Mahomes thinks the running backs are bad, so I don't think it would change. Like, if that's the case,
Mahomes
I don't think
has 2 eyes. He can watch the same film we do.
Right, but Mahomes also is going to want the ball 90% of the time. So, I mean, if it really comes down to that, I think we're going to see more of what we've seen.
Well, I think a lot of people that want us to get more to a running game, I think you're in for a rude awakening, because they're not taking the ball out of Mahomes' hands that much. You're not going to see a running back here go for 30 carries a game. It's not happening because now Mahomes is
but Mike, we've always said 20. They need to get to 20, right? 20 is reasonable. 20 still puts the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands most of the game. But I think it's got to be more manufactured runs. It can't be more RPO crap. I think that's my thing. And that's the change that I think most people want to see.
I think what you've seen out of Etienne the other day, his usage in not only the run game, but the pass game, Andy has got away from the pass game to the running back. I think we've got to get more of that going. We would love to see a fullback here. I know I would. I'd love to see a fullback make a reemergence because I still think there's a place for it. Kyle
No,
Juszczyk
dude.
looked pretty good still the other day versus the Eagles.
Hey, Shanahan likes to use them, and
That's what I'm
I
saying.
think that Andy always did too, and all of a sudden we just stopped.
I think
we need to
there's,
get back to it.
yeah, I think in the modern NFL and the way we're starting to switch over and this too high safety thing, I really do think the fullback needs to make a comeback.
I think so.
The problem is, I don't know if you're going to be able to find one that's very effective. It seems like we had one on the roster with Carson Steele, but he's just not been able to do it, or they've just not wanted to
It's
make
kind of
that
hard to
switch.
have a fullback that can't pass protect.
Right, but Andy doesn't
block.
really use the fullback to pass protect that much. Even Juszczyk, he's more valuable when he's getting out in the pass game and doing things like that.
Oh yeah, and if you go back to when we had Sausage here and Mike Burton and some of those guys, it was like a lot of the time they're blocking a lot, but they were a lot of plays where they
Right.
were leaking out and we were getting
Yeah,
passing plays.
it's very seldom we're going to be under center running an I formation with a fullback blocker. So, I mean,
Right.
it's not really that big of a deal to me. But I'll say Andy's got to do something. But I think with a Jeremiah Love, you could pull off what Etienne does. I think with a Brees Hall, you pull off what Etienne does. Even Travis Etienne is going to be a free agent this year. So if you really love him that much, go throw some money at him. I think it's just the fact whether the Chiefs roster is in a position right now where you can throw a lot of money at a running back. That's what I'm afraid of.
Well, I mean, I think you have obviously you pick your poison there because if we're going to sign some significant free agents, you're going to have to pay some money, which there are a lot of opportunities to free up money in our salary cap. There really are. If you go look at it, they could probably free up a pretty good little chunk.
Well, who would
So I
you
think
rather
they could
pay?
pay.
Would you rather pay for a nice pass rusher? Would you rather pay
I mean,
for a
you
Brees
already
Hall?
asked me that question, and it's like I don't really know. To be honest, I would rather draft defense. So I feel like if you're going to go spend in free agency, I think you go spend it on offense. Because I feel like the offense was our problem last season, right? And probably for the last couple seasons. Our offense stinks. So why wouldn't we want to go invest in guys that we know that are good for the offense to get that swing back around instead of just taking a shot in the dark? You know, and I'm not
True.
saying Jeremiah loves a shot in the dark, but at the same time, you never really know with these guys.
But Jeremiah Love, you would get him on a nice contract for 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, where are you at on that? Since you asked it,
I mean,
like,
honestly, I don't know if I want to pay a running back that much money. Because you still got the uncertainty with Andy, and you still got the uncertainty of everything. I would almost rather take the cheaper contract with the running back if I could get a Jeremiah
But
Love.
isn't that the
you're not
formula
even
we've been
guaranteed you're
doing?
getting that.
that's the formula we've been using for years: is go get a cheap running back.
True, but we don't have to wait till the 7th round to take them every time. You can get a cheap running back in the 2nd round. How about let's invest just a little bit earlier there?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, I'll tell you what, though. When we dig into free agency here, like I would love to see. I don't even know who all is going to be free agents, to be quite honest about it. So I'd really like to dig into free agency at the positions of needs, and then kind of make an assessment from that point. Like who's available, who could we get, how much would they cost, how
All
much
right,
money
there
do
might
we
not be
have?
any defensive players that you want to invest money in, so maybe you can invest it into the running back.
Potentially. So I don't know. Welter in the house with the 5 says, do you think our receivers never have separation because of scheme or skill? I watch other receivers in the league like 30 feet open. So there's two things here, Welter, and I talked about this a little bit last night on the live stream, but when I watch other teams play, I always think two things. A, how come every team sucks when they're playing other teams, but when they play us, it's like we're playing the 85 Bears, or just perfect. They play perfect. They're mistake free. It's just ridiculous. Then you watch them play someone else, and it's like they don't even know how to play football. That drives me nuts. And then another thing that drives me crazy is every other team has wide open receivers, just busted defenses and big plays. And it's like we never see that. We never see that. So it irritates me a little bit. But to answer your question, I think if I had to pick one, I'm going to say that our skill level is decent. They've used a 1st-round draft pick on Xavier Worthy. He's the fastest guy to ever run a 40 at the combine. I mean, even if you go back to like Sky Moore, who was a complete bust, as far as skill goes, I mean, he was the most short area quickness we've seen since Tyreek Hill. I don't think our receivers have been bad since Kadarius Toney, which, by the way, is an athletic freak, but Kadarius Toney, MVS, Juju, that wide receiver core was pretty rough to me. I would almost say maybe it's the wide receiver core. The guys we had on the team this year, Hollywood, all those guys, it's scheme. It has to be our scheme.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were done. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's more scheme than skill. But then again, if you think about it, we tend to get. Well, you even mentioned it. We've just not had great wide receivers here either. And so when you combine not great wide receivers mixed with a kind of a stale offense, it becomes really apparent that you've just got a problem out there. So I would think it's more skill or more scheme over skill, in my opinion. I think the scheme's just too stale. I don't think the too high safety shell that we've seen is just it's too easy. They're rushing 3-4 guys at Mahomes, and they're killing all your passing lanes. They're shutting down every single thing. You're throwing against 8 people in the secondary, 7 people in the secondary. It's just the windows are closing, and the scheme's bad, and they can't scheme anybody open. So then it does become skill, and it's like you've had Connor Embry teaching some of these guys since they've come in. Rashee Rice has not had another receiving coach than Connor Embry. Xavier Worthy's never had another receiving coach than Connor Embry. This dude is a high school water boy. That's what he's been able to teach. So, I mean, they'd have probably learned more off the running back coach. Pinkston would have been able to teach him more in the wide receiver room, in my opinion. So,
I'd also like to point out we don't like to invest in good route runners. We just don't.
No,
I mean,
because they had a chance to get that with Lad McConkey, and we chose to overlook that one.
Exactly. I mean, there were years where we thought, hey, Hunter Henry could well, not Hunter Henry, what's his name from the Raiders? I can't think of his name. The receiver.
I don't know where you're going.
I forgot his name. The white dude that played for the Raiders. He's been just sitting out there for a long time. Hunter Renfrow, yeah. So, like, that kid is one of the best route runners we've ever seen, and we wouldn't even look his way when he was available. Like, we don't look for good route runners. We always look for guys that just have a lot of speed.
Yeah, we look for more athleticism and speed more than we do route technicians. That's for sure.
Exactly. So when you do that, I mean, what are you setting yourself up for? If you can't scheme a guy open, if they can't just blow the top off a defense because they're playing a cover 2, the shell defense that setting way back deep with the safeties and stuff, then what are you going to do? You're not going to get open. We got a bunch of guys that just can't do it. And then, like a lot of people's pointed out in the chat, you're looking at a wide receiver coach for the last couple of years that probably barely knows how to coach. So it's like just a lot of things go into that. But I would think that lately it's been the scheme, in my opinion, though, because I mean, I've watched too much all 22 tape where they're just the plays are trash. Like the routes that are being called are just dead end crappy routes that do nothing. It always turns into, hey, Mahomes is running around the backfield. Let's all break open and play backyard football. Like that's what happens. So I would say scheme, but
it's a little bit of both, honestly.
Yeah, Mike, we got Gary with the 5 pounds, baby. Says, hi guys, I live in the UK, having to suffer all the Chiefs haters looking at the draft. It doesn't look the best. Would it be better trading down? So we've talked about that a little bit too. I think trading down is not a bad idea in a year where you don't have a ton of draft capital, and the way that Brett Veach likes to execute the draft, which is a lot of moving up and down the board. I think that could be a valuable thing to trade back. Now, a lot of people are not going to like that because they think in their head that we're going to get a Reuben Bain Jr. or a Jeremiah Love. But I don't think either of those guys are going to be available at number 9. I don't think either of those guys are going to be on the board.
I agree. I think you've got to look at you've got to have your big board, and you've got to say who's valuable, who's worth this. How many players in this draft? Look, I've watched probably now 50 some players. Now, don't get me wrong. There's probably 250, 350, 450 in the draft. But we know, there's about 25, 35, 40 names tops that could get into that first round conversation. I've watched almost every one of them at this point. So now you got to look at how many of those 40 guys that could be potential first round picks, how many of those guys are potentially a top 15 pick? How many of those are potentially a top 10 pick? You start narrowing those down really quick. Right now, I've seen maybe 8 players that are worth a top 10 pick. So that means if the draft board don't fall your way just right, and I know that's going to be different on everybody. Every major team's going to have, a different top 10. But for me, I've seen maybe 8 players worth of top 10 picks so far, and I've scouted all these dudes.
That's just this draft this year. Do you think like
Right?
normal?
And so if
Like,
one of your guys aren't there, you're better off getting out.
If you compare this draft to some of the other drafts that have been in recent years, how many players do you think make the top 10?
This is a weak draft.
It's
from
pretty
what
weak.
I've seen. It's pretty weak across the
Have you
board.
ever noticed that when
you're going to find your good players?
Have you
Don't get me
noticed
wrong.
the trend? Like every time the Chiefs ever have a high draft pick, it's a weak draft.
Yeah, it's always a weak draft. Even the
I
Eric
don't
Fisher
know
draft
how-
was horrible.
Yeah, I don't know how that works out, but it does. Appreciate the 5, Gary, in the UK. Let's freaking go. Mike, let's talk about edge rushers real quick. I want to get on them just for a minute. Before we do, guys, appreciate y'all being here. Do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't subscribed to the channel. You'll want to do that. We're the #1 independent Chiefs channel on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hang out with us, help us grow. It's a fun ride. We always have a good time, and we do Chiefs content year round, nonstop. So hit that subscribe button. I want to shout out Zarda also for sponsoring today's live stream. Get over to Zarda. Grab yourself some lunch. Tell them all Chiefed Up sent you. They got great food. Go hit them up. Mike, let's talk about these edge rushers here, because I think that pass rush is the name of the game for the Chiefs right now. That's what they have to do. They have to figure out how to start getting some pressure on these quarterbacks. Obviously, #1 on the board, I think kind of unanimously right now, is Ruben Bain Jr. Absolute Spags prototype. He's built like a tank. He can play the 5 tech. He can kick to the inside on 3rd down if he wants, like a lot of the times that he'll do with our guys. He's a blue chip version of George Karlaftis. Like that's kind of how I would describe Ruben Bain Jr. Just powerful, super powerful, absolute monster. But Mike, I don't know. First of all, how do you think Ruben Bain's game is going to translate to the NFL? Do you think he will be as much as an X factor in the NFL as he is in college? And then on top of that, I don't think he's going to be there, right? I don't think he would be at #9.
So far, Ruben Bain Jr. is the #1 player on my draft board out of 50 I've scouted. He does have potential to fall. There's a few guys that could end up passing him before it's all said and done. Maybe like a Caleb Downs. Arvell Reese could come flying up here soon. There's just things like we're 2 months out of the combine at this point. Like, we've not talked about combine. We've not talked about pro days. We ain't even watched any of the All-Star games. We've not even had the East-West Shrine Bowl. We've not had anything. I think we've just now had the Hula Bowl coming up. So it's like, we're just so early in this process. But for right now, yes, he's the #1 player on my board. I think he's got a very good frame. He's got that prototypical defensive end, set the edge. Now, again, his arms are a little short. He's going to get knocked on that. I would like to have seen him maybe a couple inches taller, but I can deal with 6'3". Like you said, he's very versatile. He can kick inside. He can play a 7 tech. He can play a 5 tech. He can come all the way down and cover the nose. I think his Ruben Bain, all his positives for me is that, yes, he can dominate a game. He can it's not to the level of Chris Jones, where you're going to double and triple team this guy and he's going to free up so much. But he is, you can't just be like, look, he's a pass rush specialist. I don't think he's a pass rush specialist. I think he wins more with his bull rush and those kind of things more than he does with his bend, although he does have decent bend and quickness for that size. It's just not elite. You're not going to see elite bend out of him, but he does have very good bend for his size. I don't know how to make that easier to come across what I'm trying to say, except for to say that. So I'm not saying he's not elite. He's not saying he doesn't have good bend. He does. It's just for his size. The thing about Miami, they used him to disrupt the running game. He is a professional when it comes to stopping the run. I think he can do that anywhere, even at a 0 tech nose tackle. He was causing problems versus teams. Centers and guards could double and triple him. He was still clogging the run game. That is not what you're going to see with other prospects like David Bailey out of Texas Tech. That kid gets destroyed in the run game. He is a liability on 1st and 2nd down if you're going against a running team. You're not going to see that out of Cassius Howe, who I love, but you're not going to see him stop the run like that. You might see Keldrick Falk out of Auburn be able to do it, but you don't have anybody that can do both. And Reuben Bain can play the run at a high level, and he rushes the passer at a semi-high level. And that, to me, is why he's at the top of the board. I don't think he's going to last the number 9. To answer your question, he's not going to be there at number 9, barring him just like getting destroyed at his pro day or running a 5-second 40 at the combine.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about David Bailey for a minute. A lot of people in the chat like David Bailey. Mike, I like David Bailey. I think I had him in my number 2 spot at the moment.
Right.
Texas Tech, 6'3", 250. He's kind of that outlier, though. He's a little bit smaller. He's a lighter frame. He's a guy that don't put his hand in the dirt. He's a guy more of the Micah Parsons kind of deal, where he's going to be standing up on the outside in a 3-4 defense. I just don't know. I don't think that it would ever. I don't think we would see David Bailey in a Chiefs uniform. Not with Spags there, not with this defensive scheme. So it's easy for me to brush past David Bailey. In a weird way, because I feel like we just won't take him. Now, that being said, I think he's an absolute monster. He had a 93.2 PFF pass rush grade this season, 14 and a half sacks. I think that's a little bit too significant to just ignore. I mean, the guy's obviously doing his thing. Total technician, wins with leverage, got all the speed. He got the bend. He's fun to watch. I love David Bailey. But that's my biggest question mark is, would Spags love David Bailey?
Right. David Bailey's fun to watch. It's fun to watch a guy that gets after the quarterback. It's fun to watch a guy put up 14 and a half sacks. He did this before he got to Texas Tech. He was at Stanford for 2 years. I don't remember how many it was. 2, 3. I don't know. He was at Stanford for a few years. While he was at Stanford, he had 43 total pressures and 7 sacks in 2024. This is the year he come over. Before he come to Texas Tech, he wanted to up his playing level and go to a contender for a national championship. Texas Tech's, they proved to do just that. The thing about it is he had a 27.5 pass rush win rate, which is just insanely elite.
That's crazy. Yeah,
that is crazy. That's what he had at Stanford. When he come over to Texas Tech, he pretty much did the same thing. I think he had like a 20, 21, something like that, maybe a 22% pass rush win rate at Texas Tech this year. So he was able to keep that up. He's a pass rush artist. There's no doubt about it. The dude has a lot of moves. He's very fast. He's got a high speed profile. Spin move, he'll play off that. He has a Euro step where he'll hit you with the outside. He'll come across your face. He'll get you in there. He's got a nice club rip. He's just an insane, twitchy athlete. He's got insane burst. It's actually game-changing, what he does off the edge. He hustles. He creates forced fumbles. I think he had 3 forced fumbles in 2025. So he can get after it. His problem is that for all those good plays in pass rush, he's got bad plays in the pass game or in the run game. They will literally run right at David Bailey and make him completely obsolete. Now, there are times where they would run at him and put him on his back, and then he would get up off the ground, catch a ball carrier 15 yards up the field and force a fumble. So it's like, wow, he just had a huge negative graded play and he got up and forced a fumble. So, I mean, he's relentless. He's just a relentless dude. He was on Bruce Feldman's freak list in 2023 and 2025 because he clocked 20 miles per hour in a game playing edge.
Fast. He's very fast.
That's insane. But again, just like you said, does Spags value somebody that's going to be a specialized pass rusher, or does Spags want a guy that he can put in like Mike Dana and get bullied and just set the edge a little bit and see what you can get out of him? And I think that we've seen time and time again, Spags will not draft players like this. You know who he reminds me of? I comped him to the kid that come out of Marshall last year, Mike Green. He plays a lot like Mike Green. Mike Green come out and he was, I think, the exact same size. And we never looked at Mike Green. If you remember, Mike Green got in trouble a little bit, fell all the way to the second round. The Ravens took him. Yeah. You know, he was a specialized pass rusher at Marshall. He goes to the Ravens. Let me get his stats. I want to make sure I got his stats. This year with the Ravens, 26 tackles, 4 sacks, 34 total pressures. But he only had a 46 run grade, which was the Actually, I take that back. A 47 run grade. He was ranked 108 out of 115 because the league's changing. We're starting to run the ball more. They're taking these pass rushers out. They're getting rid of the ball faster. So some of these little specialized pass rushers like David Bailey, I'm telling you, he might get picked in the first round. He's probably going to get picked in the top 10, top 15. But I don't know if I'd want to spend that pick on him. I don't, because we don't run that style of defense to where we stand a guy up on the edge and go get a quarterback. We just don't do it.
Exactly. Let's move on. Let's go to TJ Parker in Clemson. This is a guy that is more of, he kind of fits that Chiefs philosophy of winning through the chest of the offensive tackle, right? Instead of getting on the outside and going like the way we want to see. 6'3", 265, basically a pure power player, Mike, from what I watched. Plays with heavy hands, and he does have a relentless motor. He's got that George Karlaftis motor. There's a lot of guys I've noticed this year in this draft that have a high motor. And it's weird because when you really look at players, I always thought George Karlaftis was kind of a unicorn in that draft because that's just that was his thing. A lot of the other guys were more finesse, and you would see them take some plays off and things like that. And George was just this crazy guy. And then you also have that Ashton Gelati this year. And I also feel like it's just not something you see a lot this year in this draft. I feel like the majority of these guys are just high motor guys. Like a lot of effort plays, a lot of, effort sacks and things like that. But what do you think about TJ Parker, dude? Like, to me, he didn't exactly like pop off the tape to me as like somebody that I would be obsessed with having or anything like that. But he did look like a good prospect for the Chiefs. Definitely looks like a Spags type, dude.
He's more of a Spags type, absolutely. I would see Spags rather trading down to 15 to 20. If we were somewhere in that range, TJ Parker starts coming into your range. I still think that's a little high. I think right now he's somewhere around like 28 to 33 somewhere on my big board. That will go up a little bit because some of the players in front of him I don't think are going to come into the draft. I think I still had that kid, that defensive tackle out of Oregon that said he was going back to Oregon. I think I had him right above TJ Parker, so he's probably going to go up by default. Also, the quarterback out of Oregon, he was higher. He might not come out now. So there's going to be ways for him to come up the board a little bit. But right at the end of that first round, again, he's more of a Spags guy. Like you said, his actual weight, size right now before the combine, I got him at 6'3", 265. Yeah. He keeps his pads low. He's very good at that. I think he's got exceptional closing ability. There's things about him that I really like. I think he's got a lot of good pass rush moves for a junior. I really do. He's got that Euro step that we just seen David Bailey have. I think he can set a firm edge versus the run. That's where he's higher than David Bailey for me. He's very good against the run. He sets a firm edge. I think he's got pretty good change of direction. I think where he gets where he starts losing points a little bit is that his burst and his twitch is nowhere near of a David Bailey. It's just not even the same planet. But again, he's 30 pounds heavier. He's laid off the snap a few times. I don't think he's got an exceptional get off when it comes to that. So that stuff kind of bothers me a little bit because I think if you're behind the snap always, you're never going to win. If a tackle in the NFL can get that big of a jump on you where you just cannot get off the ball, it's going to be few and far between the reps you win, right? And then again, in 2024, he had an 18% missed tackle rate. So he likes to arm tackle, and running backs will run right through it a lot. So he's got his flaws. He's also a first-round project, in my opinion. He's a project. TJ Parker, whereas Bain, he's more similar to Bain than Bailey. Bain is a much more polished, ready-to-go day one kind of guy.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about a couple other guys just real quick, and then I want to get to one in particular. But a lot of people have brought up Keldrick Falk from Auburn, 6'6", 280. I think he's a couple of Big Macs away from being a defensive tackle, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a Spags guy, but he could very well play defensive tackle.
Yeah, doesn't really excite me all that much. Then there's Joshua Josephs at Tennessee, 6'3", 245, total length freak, has a 82-inch wingspan, which we all know how Spags loves that. Get guys with the long arms, kind of disrupting passing lanes and stuff like that. He's also a good run defender, 91.4 run defense grade, which is
super. At 6'2", 237, this dude's going to get thrown around the NFL.
They have him also listed at 6'3", 245, so I'd be interested in seeing the measurements when
Yeah,
this
I'd like to
comes
see
up.
it, but 245 is a little small as well. David Baylor's 247.
Right, but
So
91.4 run defense grade is elite for that size.
yeah,
And he's
I agree.
also twitchy. He kind of fits that spinner role. So like if they do any kind of crazy exotic blitz packages and stuff like that, he could definitely get involved. I think Josh Joseph is a fun one. Then there's Zion Young from Missouri. A lot of people have brought up 6'5", 265. He's strong at the point of attack. When I watch Mike, he doesn't ever get pushed back. So to
Yeah.
me, it kind of looks like he's a dude that could do some dirty work for this defensive end, for the defensive line room. I don't see anything like super special with him as far as like getting after the quarterback and creating a lot of pressure and stuff like that, which he did do at Missouri. But I don't know if he would be that guy for the Chiefs. Frame wise, I told you the other day, like when I was watching the tape, he kind of reminded me of Carlos Dunlap just looking at him.
Yeah.
6'5", kind of longer arms and stuff like that. But yeah, those guys are all interesting. And people have talked about Arvo Reese. They've talked about who am I missing here? A couple other guys, but I want to talk about one in particular guy, and I mentioned him a little bit last night, Mike. But this guy, when I watched the defensive ends, he had the most elite first step of every guy I watched. He has bend, he has flexibility, he has versatility, and that is Mr. Cassius Howell. This guy could be kind of like my first little like draft crush this year. I had him at number 3 on my defensive ends, which I think is a little higher than a lot of other people have him right now. Obviously, played at Texas A&M. He kind of skyrocketed into the first round conversation recently. A lot of people think that he's a little undersized and things like that. But I mean, to me, he's like a very pure pass rusher. He had 11 and a half sacks, which led the SEC in 2025. 14 and a half tackles for loss. He had an elite pass rush win rate of 22%. He became the first Texas A&M player since Von Miller to record multiple 3-sack games in a single season.
Yeah.
Dude, and there's room for growth with the kid. So it's just a lot of people, there's deal breakers. That, like I said, they think his frame's a little small because he's 6'2", 248. He's very undersized. His arm length, less than 31 inches. It's like all the stuff that you look at that always like, well, we can't do it. His arms are too little. He's too small. It's like, this is one of those things where I see it and it's just like, this is a football player. This is a dude that is a badass. Why are we worried about this stuff? Like when I see the tape, like this kid's going to play well.
Yeah, I like him. I like Cassius Howell. He's my number 3 as well right now. But him and David Baylor are very similar. They're my 2 and 3 out of default. Because there are teams out there that will go after that OLB type. You've seen James Pierce come off the board last year, in the first round, at the end of the first round. You've seen Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter was taken really high. Well, I don't even remember where he ended up going. But it was projected that he could be the best player in the draft. Abdul Carter was 250. So there are guys out there that'll do it. Spags just doesn't tend to do it. And these guys get overlooked. Spags didn't even want to take the kid out of, Denver. That's killing it with Denver right now.
Nick Bonito.
Bonito. He wouldn't even look at him. These guys are smaller. I just don't think these guys are going to be on Spags' radar. I don't, unless we decide to switch some stuff up. We've tried this once with B.J. Thompson, and B.J. Thompson could never get on the field. He couldn't do anything. He had a high pass rush win rate at Stephen F. Austin. He could get after the passer. I think he went to Baylor a little bit, could get after the passer. But with the Chiefs, he just couldn't find a way to get on the field because he couldn't play the run well. He couldn't set the edge. And we've seen it over and over again when we went out and we got the kid, from the Patriots that they wouldn't let play off the edge, Joshua Uche. You've seen this. Brett Veach has tried to incorporate this in. Spags won't use it. So these guys are just not going to be good targets for the Chiefs in the first round. But I'll get back to Cassius Howell. I really liked him. I thought he had some of the best pass rushing moves out of anybody I watched. He's relentless. He's got that dog in him. To me, he was just a damn good football player. The thing I like about Cassius Howell, he come out of Kansas City. He went to Rockhurst High School in Kansas City. He's a Kansas City boy. I'd love to have him on this team. I think he can get after the passer. I really do. I think he's awesome. He played with Shamar Stewart and Nick Scourton last year at A&M, and I thought that he was the best looking one on the field, and both of those guys went in the first 2 rounds. And I thought Cassius Howell was the better pass rusher. But again, he's got tons of pass rush moves, and he can get after it. But Steve, you've mentioned off his cons, and you're right. He's got sub 32-inch arms. He doesn't do too well in the run game. He doesn't take any snaps with his hand in the dirt. I don't think I ever watched him take a snap with his hand in the dirt.
He's
I've
a
watched
stand-up
about
guy.
6 players.
Yeah,
exactly. He's got all this thing. He's going to get washed out of a run play so fast, and especially if you double team him. He's gone.
Do you ever get tired of that? Just speaking of something that small, do you ever get tired of watching our defensive ends with their hand in the dirt, though? Like, why are we never standing
a little
up?
bit? I would like to see us move it around a little bit and let our defensive ends come off the edge. I think, look, I played in high school, and it's nowhere near this. When I played in high school, there were certain times that I was allowed. We played defensive tackle, defensive edge. That's what I played. And on the offensive side, I played guard tackle. I was just that guy. I was playing the trenches. Sometimes on scout team, we would play guys that would stand up off the edge, and I'd get to do that in scout teams. When I got to stand up off the edge, I was a totally different football player. I was so much better. There were times that I was coming off the edge that I was disrupting the offense so much that they said, the head coach would be like, Williams, get your hand back in the dirt. This is not what we want to do. And I said, it's not what you want to do. That's what the other team played. And our defensive coordinator would let me do it, and I would disrupt. When my hand was in the dirt, you know what that caused me to be at 6 foot 1? It caused me to not be able to see as much. I couldn't diagnose the play as quick. I couldn't set up my pass rush moves as well. But you can do that standing up. That's why these little guys dominate in college, because they use their speed and they can diagnose plays quicker. I wish the Chiefs would get to that a little bit. I really do, because I believe that you would see a lot of pass rush open up a little bit by letting these edges come up without putting their hand in there every single play. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, you're not going to be, bending around an edge, dipping around an edge if you're got your hand in the dirt, where it's always going to be that
tougher.
Through the chest type deal, right? So
it's tougher.
I don't know. I'd like to see it get switched up a little bit. And do I think it will? Probably not. But yeah, Cassius Howell is so fun to watch, dude. He's one of my favorites so far. And like I said, I have him in my top 3 edge rushers at the moment.
Steve, he's one of your like Hornt. We need a all chiefed up Hornt list. I think he gets on the Hornt list. Does he not?
So far, right now, yeah, he's on the Hornt list.
Cassius Howell's on the Hornt list.
Yeah, I love watching that kid play. I think he's great. And there are some similarities to Bailey, I think.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of similarities there.
But yeah, super fun to watch. We're going to dig in really far into, like, probably later on in the off season, when it gets closer to draft time, we'll probably do videos or live streams where we just go through, our top 10 of each position, right? So we'll get more into some of these. I'm sure we missed some guys that a lot of you guys have been talking about, because we just briefly kind of went over it. But I think pass rush is the name of the game, dude. Like, to me, I feel like we got to get one of these guys. If you take that 9th pick, to me, I feel like that's the value. You get you a guy that can get after the quarterback. If you were to go to running back route and get a Jeremiah Love at 9, which if he's there, you take him off pure value. But I just don't think Jeremiah Love's falling number 9, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see it. Like, I've seen way too much where he's coming off the board at 3.
Mel Kiper's got him as his number 2 ranked player, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, if Jeremiah Love's not there, is there really another running back that you want to take at number 9?
Not that high.
Exactly. That's my point. So I feel like pass rush is probably the sweet spot.
I honestly do think, though, besides maybe Reuben Bain, I would take Jeremiah Love over David Bailey. I'd take him over all these guys we just talked about.
Do what? Say that one more time.
Besides Reuben Bain, if all these guys we just talked about at edge were there at number 9 and Jeremiah Love was there at number 9, I'd take Love. I think Love's a better prospect.
Yeah, I mean, that's pure value, right? Like, I feel like if he's there at 9, you kind of take him.
I feel like he's just the better prospect out of all these guys.
Exactly. And you always kind of want to go. Brett Veach does kind of take that best player available route too. Like, a lot of times he's not pigeonholed on a certain position. So usually, as far as I know, And from what I've seen, they have their big board, and when they get to where they're picking, like whoever's highest on their big board's more than likely who they're going to take, regardless of position. So, yeah, we'll see. Guys, appreciate y'all being here today. Do us a favor, hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. We would appreciate that. Help us out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And we'll catch you next time. We'll have a podcast out tomorrow for you, so be on the lookout. Watch that bad boy. Hit the like button, comment, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next time. Go Chiefs.
Wow.